You're watching Experience Comic Culture and Sales. Streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
2, 1.
So not only did I almost forget to bring us in, I almost forgot about Instagram.
Sorry, Insta, we love you.
I got it though.
Hi, everybody. It's Minute To Skim It here on The Experience. Castle, we forgive you, man. We can never be mad at you. Oh, Kyle can be mad at you.
Between Jay and Castle, I rub my fingers together in a snide fashion.
As long as you don't bite your thumb at them. There are some great books this week. This is a big week, you guys. So pay attention and write down all of the stuff so that you have your information when you go to the LCS, because it might be a little more complex than the usual week.
Or not. You could just be like, everything's terrible and I only want to read one book and buy the one book.
Lord. Don't be Kyle.
There's only one book I want to read. And I read it. So, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
Isaac
speaking of books,
Victor's in,
yeah.
Eddie's on, Castle's on. I'm afraid.
we got a ton of them this week.
Yeah, we probably should be moving. We can't talk as long this time as we normally do because Miss Jen read like 80 books and I read 7 and then Jay kind of slacked off and only read 5 like normal.
I tried to fool y'all a little bit. I sent my list over and then I had accidentally sent in just a partial list. So, haha.
Did I click the wrong one again?
I
Maybe.
don't know.
I can be in just voice. That's chill.
No, I don't know. Hold on. See, this is why no one can ever miss a week because it messes everything up.
I didn't miss. We were all here last week.
Ah,
I understand, but something didn't save last week. And now it's causing problems. And we're going to be late. And save.
It's like Miss Jen's a producer right now.
There we go. We're just going to go with this. It's wrong, but we're going to go with it.
Okay. It's so interesting because I know that for some of the books that are being printed by Alien Books now that took on all of the Valiant goodies, I know that for Exo Man of War, they were like, since it's been so long since you read Exo Man of War number 1, 2, and 3, whatever, they reprinted those. So I was worried a little bit that this was reprinted material that had already been released, but I don't think it is because it didn't seem familiar at all to me. This one breaks all the walls. It's so interesting. So, Bloodshot, the character, always has a lot of problems with discerning reality because basically half the time reality is downloaded into him. And so he doesn't really know what's going on. He's just a weapon. So they're just pointing him at whatever and you feel really bad for him because, that's been his life for a long time. Who knows when reality ended for him? I question that if you've ever watched the movie. I'm just like going, have we just watched an entirety of a movie in which it is all downloaded? Because if you pay attention, he starts with a mission. Have we ever seen reality in that film? I don't think so. So in this one, he has like a cartoon drawn friend. So if you're like thinking to yourself, for things like this, that's coming out soon, Uncanny Valley, to put it on your pull list right now, or like Roger Rabbit, he has a guy that's following him around that's clearly a cartoon that's telling him, whatever, and messing with his brain, which is kind of awesome. But there is a point in this book, no lie, in which the character turns and looks at you, and in this case says, you think you also are in control of yourself. And it clearly says, very specifically, you woman sitting in your secret lair, which is where I was. So I'm a little freaked out. Do I have nanites inside of me? And am I not real? And am I giving you guys reviews on things that also aren't real? Are you real? I don't know. Just read this book. It'll mess with you pretty good.
Whoa, that's wow. That's already messed with me. Okay.
Let Jenna read this. Don't tell her any of that. Jay, let Jenna read this.
I will.
Jay, did you cut some of these covers off?
Hmm?
Nothing.
No, it's the weirdest thing. Like, I don't know why it did this. They were all perfect in the regular thing. I don't know what's going on.
AI Zoom.
Yeah. So this is the second one on my list. I didn't even write notes for this. Yesterday I was going through the books. When I saw this, it was just the astronaut's face. No kind of label, nothing.
Oh.
Today, there was something about it when I was going back through the book. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna check this out. Click on it, see that it's a Zenoscope book. And I'm like, well, what's this? Well, folks, what this is one of the best Zenoscope books they have put out in a while.
Ooh.
This was so good. It's somewhat original, of course. You know, it borrows elements from other things, but there's no fairy tale characters, any of that. These are astronauts that go to the moon. The moon has aliens, 4 different kind of aliens. Plus, there's also a little mixture of the Mark Singer, Michael Ironside, Robert Englund V miniseries from way back in the day.
Okay.
Yes, Preston, this is honestly, in a while, this is the best Zenoscope book that I've read. I will even tell you, usually with Zenoscope books, I'm like, if you're a Zenoscope fan, you know, pick this up. Take the Zenoscope part off of it. If you're a horror or fantasy fan, pick this up. This was so well done. It doesn't even look or feel like a Zenoscope book. It's so well done. So if you're a fan of horror and fantasy and space and aliens and all that cool stuff, this is a book. Like, I don't know everybody's preferences in the chat, but I know 3 people that would love this book, and I think that's going to be Ed, Castle, and Triple B. This book was fantastic. This is a return to form for me on Zenoscope stuff. I love when they do stories like this. So I'm telling you all, even if you're not a Zenoscope fan, check this one out. This is super dope.
I'm excited because I've been missing. You remember they did that conspiracy
Yes.
series?
I love those.
Missed that one.
Love those.
Jen, you read this one. We're all angry about it.
Oh, don't be angry about it. I let you have the murdery V series. Don't be mad.
Yeah, and I'm angry about that too, but go ahead.
Okay, so we should have switched maybe. This one is really for fans of, like, if you loved Pacific Rim, or there's a Red 5 book that deals with kaiju. It has all of those elements that you love. So this is some kind of future. It could be near future. It doesn't feel like it has to be that far forward. In which there has been some kind of event in which there is a creature that has shown up on, I guess this is supposed to be Earth. It's great because the pacing on it is great, where you don't have to see the event. They just tell you that it has happened and that this is how they're dealing with it. And they've just like in Pac Rim, they built a giant wall, but in this case, it's to hold them in, have whatever these things in instead of out. And the main character is a woman who has clearly been doing her job for a while. People know her. She's almost got celebrity status, or maybe she does have celebrity status. And there is a group of other people that are also doing the same kind of job she is, which is taking care of whatever these creatures are, like killing them. But then what's neat about this setup for the universe is that instead of being just like the world's governments have been trying to figure out a way to deal with them, they formed like all of the world's industry just completely disappeared, and they formed 5 companies. And those 5 companies are all making things to try to deal with this. Because I guess the creatures themselves have got like impenetrable skin, which makes it very hard to injure them because, you can't bomb them or whatever. There's no way to deal with them. So this is a beginning of like, I love sci-fi and I love kaiju and I love Jaegers and I love all that stuff. And this is Ron B writing those things. So I know at some point he's going to rip out my heart. I'm going to fall in love with something and he's going to kill it. So that's fine. I'm down with it. But Dawn Runner is the name of the new, I'll say mech. I don't It gets real complex at the end. There's a huge twist. Even when I tell you all those things, that's nothing. It's nothing. There's a huge twist.
Okay. So this book took a weird turn.
Oh, weirder than
And
the
I'm here for it. Like, this book had been very much like Dexter, right? Serial killer hunting serial killer kind of thing. I suppose that's a little spoilery if you haven't read any of the book, but we're on issue 4, so what are you doing?
Yeah.
That said, this book took a weird turn. Because our main character kind of has solved the thing.
Is that him on the cover? Is that the main
Our
character?
main character kind of has solved the thing. And it's not what you think or who you would think or what you would think. It's it takes on a whole new turn, right?
Okay.
It takes on this whole other life that launches in this book.
Hi, Monty.
And so,
Monty's on, brother.
Hi, Monty. Anyway, so is Ari Rubin. Everybody give a shout out to A.A. Rubin. We're going to review one of his stories later. So check it. I can't tell you more about this book without spoiling this book. But what I will tell you is that this goes from Dexter to CSI to Thelma and Louise.
Oh.
Smokey and the Bandit. Drive Like Hell. The comic book Drive Like Hell. Kind of a you can't catch me coppers kind of moment. And there is more happening, but I think it's only one issue. No. Yes, I'm trying not to lose my train of thought, Amani, because I don't want to.
Amani.
Right, I'm just ignoring a lot of people. Anyway, it kind of goes into this sort of whole other storyline that could continue beyond issues 5 and 6. So I go Thelma and Louise. You could also call it, Babyface Nelson, Bonnie and Clyde, that kind of stuff. It takes this really weird turn, and it really becomes this book could continue for a while. So
this cover, that character looks just like Geronimo Stilton. Did you guys read those books when you were a kid? It can't be a mistake because he's wearing the same colors. He's a mouse that does investigating.
I know the mouse on the motorcycle. That's it.
Oh my gosh. Pop's Chocolate Shop of Horrors. Man, if you have a weak tummy, don't read this book series. So it lives in the Archie universe, right? The horror corner of the Archie universe. And I guess Pop's Chocolate Shop has the problem of like Archie and Jughead show up all the time, and Pops feels real like pressure to impress Archie and Jughead because wherever they like to go is the hot place. So he's feeling this pressure and or feels like he has to always comp them their food, and so he's struggling. I don't know. So anyway, in this, basically a demon, like a goat demon, shows up and is like, let's make a deal. I can help you. And then that devolves into some crazy storytelling. There's like multiple stories in there. The first one has to do with like if you like Audrey 2, you'll like the first story arc. That one's super trippy, man. But yeah, it's really, really dark and it's full of food horror.
Can you read that?
What do you have right there?
It's The Burger That Saved the World. It's the first cover, the first page of The Burger That Saved the World from Archie Comics.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So this is the opposite.
I mean, look at that cover. There is. I have a thing. I cannot deal with centipedes. I can millipede all day long and carry them around, but centipedes are the bug that like gives me nightmares. No. Mm-mm.
But the eyeballs are doing nothing for you, huh?
I would eat those, but I can't handle it.
Anything with more legs than eyes is a problem, and this burger definitely has more legs than eyes.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
6 issues in, and I still love this series. This is the issue where it just goes down in every timeline that they show, all 3 of them.
Oh.
Tony Fleeks and team have just created something so chaotically beautiful that should be confusing, but it's not confusing at all. This one goes back and forth through all 3 of the timelines, but the transitions are so clean. Like you'll have a character saying something in one timeline and the character in the next timeline finishes what they're saying. Transition is just so good. It's got tons of action. There's a reveal at the end that I honestly didn't see coming. And this book is called Army of Darkness Forever, which is a great name because I do not want this book to end. Like, Tony, you're doing a fantastic job on this series. This has been so good. Usually around 6 issues, of Army of Darkness is kind of like I don't want to say niche thing, but it's kind of one of those things where, once you've read them, you read them all. They're doing something so different with this book. It's terrific. So this is an awesome book.
Okay, Miss Jen, I need you to sell me on this book because I read the solicitation last night on Nerd News Now, and the solicitation made me so angry.
Why?
I called my LCS and was like, "Hey, I might not get it."
Okay, can I give you if I could try it with one word?
Yes.
How about puns?
Yeah, that's why I didn't like the solicitation.
Why?
They tried too hard.
Oh,
They had too many puns in too few words, and were sticking the word ape in places that it doesn't make any sense.
Oh, I hope you give it a chance because it is so brilliant. Okay, I will tell you that I'll do the setup for this, okay? I grew up with Marvel as my main read because that's when I started in comics in 92 when X-Men was king. So don't hate me. I'm kind of learning my way into loving DC things. So I don't have a background that lets me appreciate every single character of this as much as I could. But so take this from a person that is like knows characters only very, slightly, but can appreciate them because they're written so well in this one shot. So imagine a world in which a girl like Rod, his underling, his guy that's underneath him, decides that he wants to gather together all the different kinds of apes to then form a new kind of like, I don't know, say the ape mafia. I don't know. I don't know how it is.
I think in the solicitation they called it the Jungle League, which is why I kind of hated the solicitation.
You just have to say it right. It's really, really clever. And I don't know, it has like all of the apes you might know, like Detective Chimp and like Gleek from What is his team?
Wonder
Xan and
Twins.
Dana are part of what team?
Wonder Twins.
Wonder Twins. But like they're all JL. They're Justice League, right? The big team. Yeah, that's right. They're all Justice League. So anyway, I really thought it was very clever. It has so there. I don't want to give too much away because there's a big through story for how this ape specifically is trying to use the genetics of multiple different apes to form. It spoils so many things. No, but I love it because it has a legion of ooh, 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 ah, ooh. That's right. Gotta just say it like an ape. It's much better. Do you see the prince? I forgot his name. He's the guy who's like one of the newer superhero characters that showed up, had his own series, but he has an ape face. I can't remember his full name. Somebody knows it. But anyway, he can detach his arms, I guess, and use them as weapons. Kind of cool. But in this case, one of his arms has gone missing. They started, the main character's using them for something. So just know it has a bunch of cool twists and turns in it, and you don't need to know anything going in. Like, really, if I didn't know any of these characters, I'd still have enjoyed this very much. But yes, you must be able to get over the fact that they have some pretty ridiculous puns, but also they're, I think, very clever. So.
Well, to me, it sounds great, but a little disarming.
Yes! Yes, Jay, yes!
Sorry, Kyle, I had to. Okay.
Prince Monkey, thank you. It was so easy.
All right. So when I talked to Ed Brisson about this book, he kind of gave me the rundown on what was to come. And I believed him because he wrote it, but I didn't understand how he was going to accomplish what he accomplished here. If you remember the first issue, the city of Oshawa, Ontario, is swallowed up by a sinkhole, which is, according to Ed and myself, who are the only two people I know who have ever been to Oshawa, the only thing you should do to Oshawa. But what you find out at the end of the first issue is that people don't remember Oshawa being here. Like, the sinkhole fills itself in, and it's like the town never existed, and the people in the town never existed. You have these characters like running into old friends and calling their families or whatever, and they don't remember they were ever born. In this issue, you find out that lack of memory is extending. Small spoilers, but things like bank accounts don't exist anymore. Your debit card and credit cards won't work because you never existed. So you have this group of people, and what they discover is that when you separate, you forget the other people and they forget you. So only the people who stay together remember each other. And that leads to a certain set of abilities that, if you're, depending on where you fall on, the immaculate grid of D&D character types, allows you to have certain sort of abilities. If you're lawful good, you're like trying to help people, but they don't remember you. If you're chaotic evil, you're like axe murdering people, because who's going to remember that you existed? How are the cops going to find you? Nobody's going to remember you were there. So it like gives you this big spectrum of what you can do without having ever existed. And so you start to kind of figure that out. And then another turn happens and people start getting sick. And that is where I'm going to stop, because if I keep going down that thread, it's going to ruin the end of the book. Because the end of the book is like, holy crap, what just happened?
Yeah, highly recommend that series. Like, if you like the what ifness of anything, that's the way to go.
So I now actually have every cover of issue 1 signed by Ed.
Oh,
every variant, everything. I had to have him send me one of them because it was exclusive to a store in Canada. and he went and got it and sent it to me because I asked him. So I now have every cover of issue number 1. That's how highly I recommend The Displaced. Also, it's how much I dislike Oshawa.
Oh my word. Lyle says they've been there. All right. This one is, I would have to say, you cannot read X-Men forever if you have not been reading, like if you have no frame of reference for what happens in House of X or Power of 10, or have been following anything that's happening in the fall. Except for they do always have a good, like their front page always has a, here's where you are in the storyline. This one wouldn't be nearly as interesting or effective if you have not been at least reading the fall of the House of X stuff. But this one is important, so important. It'll go back and touch base for you for, like at the very beginning, if you understand how it ties to what happened in the very first issue of House of X, you're going to be like, I'm the smartest person on the planet. I'm the coolest nerd ever because I get what's going on right here. That's right. You can't read X-Men if you've not read X-Men. Key. But yeah, this one is so good, but also so complex. It's you might, even if you're been in the middle of it like I have parts where you're like, oh man, I might need to go back and read some stuff to see what's going on. This one definitely connects to the Multiple Sinister storyline. It connects to the Mariah Taggart storyline. It connects to the stuff that's been going on Krakoa, the ends of things. It connects to if you love yourself some Mystique, it connects to Raven. It has so much stuff. And this cover by Brooks. I mean, look at that cover by Brooks. My lord, that man is a master.
Okay, I have a question.
Jay read a book with fish people, everybody.
I did.
People.
Is it Avalon or Avaloni? Avaloni. The writer of the book.
Unknown.
Okay, well then.
You want me to ask him?
No.
Okay.
That'll be helpful. So there was a discussion last night on the Devil's Advocates about creators being on a character for too long, right? And while I agreed with most of what was being said, I don't ever want David Avalon to stop writing Elvira. He can go and write other things, but whenever like Dynamite decides, hey, we're going to do a new Elvira project, I want David on it. He writes the character to perfection. Every time I read an Elvira story, I'm just like, that's exactly what she would say or do. Exactly. The art is great. The story is great. The jokes land for me. And Elvira and H.P. Lovecraft just bickering back and forth. Come on. It's hilarious. It's a recipe for a good time. The cult, there's like a cult that's following them, and it's a nice touch because these guys are like the Three Stooges. It's hilarious. This book has something for everyone. There's meta humor, Elvira, monsters, Elvira, horror. You get the point. The point. If you aren't reading this already, you need to. You should be. Elvira is just the best to begin with, and literally everything that has been written so far that I've read, I've loved every single bit of it. So David Avalon and team, you guys are doing a fantastic job on this. People, honestly, go pick this up. Go check it out.
Look at those gams. Those gams on the cover. I need to go add a leg day.
So, just two things. One, in defense of Devil's Advocates last night, we weren't talking about miniseries because Dynamite refuses to do long, ongoing series. Disqualified.
Okay.
And two, yeah, I think part of what makes David Avalon or Avaloni's skill is that like Elvira helps him. So her helping definitely helps with her voice.
Hi, Lorena Barlord. Oh man. Okay. So this is awesome. This actually, it helps a lot if you've been reading the storyline that's been going on, the Joker War that's been running through. I think that's just main Batman, correct? This one stems right out of so there is a neighborhood called the Hill that is just on the fringes of the neighborhoods that all of the baddies that were jockeying for position at Joker War, they started to impact that nice neighborhood. And that neighborhood formed, like business owners in that neighborhood formed this, vigilante group. And that's connected to this. So it is the characters from that vigilante group interacting with specifically the Red Hood. But as Jason Todd, mostly in this issue. We don't get to see a lot of Red Hood action until later on in the issue. So this one's really great. And like I said, I try to help you guys by giving you all the information you need to just jump in. So if all you know is that, you're fine. You don't have to go back and find all the issues of Joker War. No big deal. You don't need to know anything about them. Start this book. You just need to have a basic knowledge of who, the person that is the Red Hood is as a person, his relationship with the Batman universe, and know that the characters you're going to meet are part of this vigilante group. It's good enough to get in there. And it's also really great. Like I said, I'm learning to love DC stuff. You just have to be forgiving of my unknowledge of long history. I don't know any of that, but I got from like the last maybe 5-10 years. I got you.
This is not the cover I was thinking you would give me.
I had to. Trish Forstner.
Oh, how
I understand, but I almost didn't recognize it. So the disappointment that I had in Lilo and Stitch issue 1 was because it didn't really cover any new territory until the very end. Basically just regurgitated the big quote lines from the movie. Was fixed by this issue. In this issue, you have Lilo and Stitch essentially at Toy Fair in New York. Yeah, and when you have a Stitch at a Toy Fair, chaos ensues, and I love it. However, I'm going to warn everybody, if you have a weird attachment to your stuffed animals from being a kid, or Lilo and Stitch, or that kind of stuff, this book will break your heart.
Oh,
at the end.
A Velveteen Rabbit problem?
No.
Okay.
This is the aliens don't understand nuance problem. So it turns into no one dies. I'm just gonna spoilers. No one dies, but they may as well have, because kangaroos. That's all I'm gonna say. But this is a big action sequence. Like, it feels very Three Stooges. And then at the very end, you're just like, oh, what a punch in the heart. So Greg Pak definitely nails it in this issue, getting you hooked, where if the first issue didn't, this one definitely does.
That cover is so stinking cute.
It is.
Trish is amazing. I love her work so much.
Okay, so I actually got a lot of the information about this cool book when we were at Comics Pro, and so did Kyle. It was an interesting. You didn't get to go to that's right. You didn't get to go to the individual table stuff. So this was really cool. I actually talked to someone really recently about some of the stuff in here, and I can't remember how.
If I'd have known Biker Mice from Mars was a thing, I definitely would have skipped out and gone to the table.
Oh yeah. So okay. So this is a big tied together shared universe. It's not like when you have someone announce that they're tackling a bunch of different things like Biker Mice from Mars and Sectars and Power Lords and Roboforce and those kinds of things. You really don't these are definitely things that came of an era, right? If you were my age, you grew up with them as either toys or cartoons or other things. And you may not know who the Grey Garloo is at all, so don't be scared. But he is the through line of this book that's going to help you understand all of these different properties in a very easy to understand way. So basically the storyline that happens in here is the Great Garloo gets kind of like he kind of joins with another character who turns out to be a bit of kind of like a Han Solo character in that he's a smuggler, I think. And in their travels, they end up going to a bunch of different planets, right? Clearly, since Biker Mice are from Mars, they end up in Mars at some point. Some of these characters are definitely Earth-based, so eventually end up there. But the storyline works all together very well. It doesn't feel forced, like, oh no, here we have to figure out how a way to like get these characters together. And it's awesome and super nostalgic. And I didn't think I would like the Great Garloo because his shtick is basically that if he gets emotional or mad, he becomes a great big green powerful creature, which sounds like the Hulk, right? But somehow it doesn't feel like the Hulk at all in this, which is great that they've made him its own unique character. But this one is your reminder to, start paying attention to the stuff that's coming out from this company because you might want to add them to your pulls. But also, this will be their first appearance in that universe, so you might pick up this book. I was so jealous because it's James Bond in space. Dear God, I wanted to read this.
That's literally part of the first line of my notes here. Because I don't have a whole lot to say about this one except for Bond in space. And while
Bond in space.
Amazing.
You're welcome.
So this one's not as brutal as the first two issues. There is a grenade scene with Moneypenny, and I'll leave it at that. That's pretty cool. But this is just a great twisty-turny, sexy spy thriller that Bond as a comic should be. It should be that. I think Garth Ennis is doing a fantastic job. I do have one gripe, and that is there is a ton of talking on cell phones in this series. In this one, it's cell phone to helmet comlink, but still, it just feels like every time you turn the page, somebody's on the phone. It's almost like real life.
Yeah, I was going to say.
The only twist about being on a space station in this is there's animals on board the space shuttle. I thought I was like, I've never seen somebody in space and they have all these animals in captivity. They're doing some kind of research on how space affects them.
Oh, okay.
And that does play a tiny factor in the end of this book. So let you know that right there. Here's what I'm going to tell folks. If you're on the fence with this one, if you're just like, man, I really love that Philip Kennedy Johnson run, which I definitely did. I think you'll like this one. If the Garth Ennis name, just this issue. If the Garth Ennis name kind of gives you that kind of meh feeling, trust me, this isn't The Boys. This isn't Crossed or any of those shock or edgy kind of comics. This is a solid book. So give it a shot.
Ari, I think the through line is actually that you see the chemical makeup there. I think it's whatever that thing is.
Fall God? Yeah, it's like Fall God or something. I can't remember exactly. Some kind of water thing. No, Jaws doesn't show up. Okay.
Jay, I have an update on the Elvira book.
Mm-hmm.
It's Avalone.
It is Avalone. Now I feel like a jerk, but enjoy the book, David, if you ever see this.
All right. So I just wanted to follow up because there was such a huge thing that happened in Spawn 350 that I wanted to encourage you, if you did not go and hunt one of those books down, that you do, because it's like a huge, big event for the Spawn universe. Because so the setup is that Malebolgia hasn't been in power in Hell for a long time. Like, his head has been removed from his body and it's, tacked to the wall there. So there has been this big battle for who's going to be the power in Heck. So that was chosen last issue in 350. And it was a huge game changer, because part of the deal is that all of the creatures from this universe that were associated with Heaven Realm and the ones that are associated with the Hell Realm, if they were on Earth or wherever they were, that's where they're stuck. There's no moving around anymore. And all of them have largely lost their power. Whatever their power was, including Spawn, they don't ever have it. So now, and that's by the actions of this who's in charge of Hell now. So in this issue, that kind of like helps. They do a lot of playing out. You get to see how powerful, is Spawn still a factor with no power? I'm guessing you can figure out that that's a yes. But this is a great storyline. I'm super excited about them moving forward with the characters. Like, it's been a long time since they've been able to kind of show them with anything new going on with them. And so I like that they figured out a way to keep telling the story of Spawn without making it the same old hashed over stuff. It's nice.
All right, so this is Homeward Bound in Space. I'm gonna say two things about this book, and then I'm gonna move on. One, I'm very excited. It's Pornsak Pichette and Jesse Lonergan. So very excited about this team working on this book. I'm very excited about the concept. These are pets that are traveling through deep space on a spaceship, and the spaceship crashes, and the humans are missing, and the animals have to try to find them or find some way to go on without them. So very excited for this concept. Unfortunately, I think I was hurt by having to read this on PDF as opposed to having the actual book in front of me. I just don't think I don't think there was a problem with the way the PDF was formatted. Sometimes that's the thing we have. I think this one just is going to read better on paper. And so I am withholding my judgment essentially until tomorrow when I pick up the copy I ordered. But it has all the makings of something I'm going to really enjoy. And yes, that is a dog with a rocket strapped to its back that flies around as though he is, the Rocketeer. The cat in the middle has a mech suit that's like the weirdest Power Ranger ever. And I don't remember what the Golden Retriever has, but he also has a very funny costume. So overall, really interesting concept, really fun concept, but I just don't have a good review because it didn't read well the way
I understand they have those things is because I guess their owners are hecka rich.
They're scientists. Yeah. So, like I said, I know what's supposed to happen, but I didn't really get to experience it, so we'll see. I'll give you an update next week.
All right. All you really need to know about this book is it's a must-have because it really is the beginnings of new storylines that are going to be going on for the rest of the year, but they're directly tied to stories that are going on right now for a great many books. It actually, like, it's for Miles Morales. They actually tell you exactly where it fits in the storyline, where it fits in the storyline for Spider-Woman, where it fits in the storyline for Spider-Man, all of those things. So you and for us, the Gwen book right now. So it's awesome. It tells you this is where we're headed and where all of the big things are going to be happening. I'm sure there's going to be first appearances in here, although I haven't looked to see what the internet says about that right now, but you know, if you like to be in the know and or have first appearances or kind of like have a map for what's going to happen next, this is the one. It's not just a random Web of Spider-Man #1. They're not just relaunching randomness. This is an important book.
I love the way Greg Capullo draws webs.
Stuck without it, let me know. I'll get you hooked up.
I love the way Greg Capullo draws webs, but like, does Spider-Man have arthritis? What is happening with his fingers? Anyway.
Okay. Last issue of this arc, and while this is not my favorite Red Sonja, it was a pretty good 5-issue story. Very interesting Sonja design. Not very violent, but still some action scenes and some big reveals at the end. I don't have very much to say on this one. This is definitely not a knock on the creators and the team behind this book. I just don't click with this particular version of Sonja. I will tell you, it is pretty good. And for me, that's like a non-wrestling fan seeing a clip of AJ Styles or Will Ospreay and saying, hey, they're pretty good. That is a win for me. So me not being an overly humongous, biggest, Red Sonja fan on the planet saying that the story's pretty good, that should give Red Sonja fans something. Basically, don't let my lack of hype on this book stop you from picking this up. Just know that for me personally, there's a Red Sonja I like. It just doesn't happen to be this one. But this was a good story. So if you're a Savage Red Sonja fan, keep reading this one. I thought it was pretty good.
All right. So Project Cryptid #7. I haven't read issues 2 through 6. So just know that I may be missing parts. But I read particularly the second story in this, which is by my friend A.A. Rubin, who's in the chat. Hi, A.A. Rubin. Hi, Ari. But what's interesting is that actually almost everybody who worked on this book is a friend of mine. Joe Illich and Jamal Eigel. I don't know Juan Castro or Richard Pace particularly well, but I would like to. But A.A. Rubin's Monster in the Window is the second story in this book. It's a story that I read. And have you ever noticed that when you see footage of Bigfoot, it kind of looks like it was taken through a camera with a sock over it that was dunked in water, and then the lens was broken and it was out of focus? AA's story answers that in a big, funny, really interesting, really kind of sweet way. And that it's two parallel stories of two parallel groups into what seems to be parallel universes separated by a window. And you solve why Bigfoot's always blurry or why some people can't take a good picture. Really, really fun story. I'm going to go back and read John Crow as well as the other stories that are in this book because there are more follow-up stories in this book that are very interesting to me. But I wanted to read A.A. Rubin's story because way back in October, he was telling me about it. And each book is a standalone book. But I want to go back and reread them all because I love the cryptid concepts. But he was telling me about this book way back in October, and I've been waiting, and it's finally here, and I was so excited to read it. So, guys, go out and pick up these Project Cryptid books from Ahoy. Super fun, especially if you're from the part of the world where we're pretty sure a cryptid is going to, like, anytime we're driving at night in the fog, like, kill us or take our car, or, you're going to run into Bigfoot at the Sheets carry out or whatever. Like, it's a whole thing. So, it's a super fun concept. And again, Ari's story is super cool with the parallel kind of explaining why you can never get a good picture of Bigfoot and why some people never take good pictures. So
this was a super beautiful book. This is less dialogue and more just beautiful imagery telling the story, but it is exactly as you expect from the cover. It is a Ronin tale, but it is set in the Star Wars universe with Star Wars characters, not necessarily ones that you're like, oh, that's, this character, like that guy right there is not R2. But yes,
Is that a droid in a hat?
it is.
I'm in.
Yeah, it's like literally if they were going to tell a Ronin tale, they just ignore the fact that there's, like one of the characters is a droid. Like I think he calls him boy, like he's a kid. Or child. It's so good. It's if you love art and if you want to be inspired by the very best and you like the imagery of feudal Japan, get it.
Lone Wolf and Cub.
Lone Wolf and droid.
Well,
that is
true.
exactly what I felt like.
Okay, real quick, Jay, did I read number 1 of this or did you?
I did.
Okay,
And yeah, this is one of the ones y'all booed me for, I thought.
I don't remember.
But so this book is a trippy space adventure horror, and I'm here for it. Robin, who's on the cover, she's the last astronaut left on this living planet. Can't tell if she's been here a few weeks or a few months, but what's really cool is it's kind of like immersive learning with her. She's starting to pick up on the alien language. Now, we as the audience don't see what exactly is being said. We see it how she's seeing it, where every couple of alien words, you got an English word thrown in there. So I thought that was really interesting how they did that. So we see more of this planet, and we find there's a ruling class and a prisoner class. Robin ends up getting captured and thrown into a prison, but she makes allies there. This one is a bit different than the first issue, as there's still brutality, there's still some death, and there's some statues that may or may not be Darkseid and Kang. They look like that to me. This one's a bit more toned down on the violence, though, but it serves to flesh the story out. And once again, the last panel of this just grabs me, and I need to know more. This is shaping up to be something. I can't wait for the next issue. Folks, check this one out. Grab issue 1. Issue 1's the more brutal one, but this one actually gives you a little bit more story. So super, super fun, super cool book.
Okay, so if you guys remember, the Holy Roller is Andy Samberg and Rick Remender, and it's Kingpin meets the Punisher. I'm gonna just say that in this issue, it really kind of finds its voice, which sucks because it's almost over. But the great thing about this issue is you really kind of get to understand how the Holy Roller is functioning a little bit more. And that thing, always punch Nazis. There's a lot of that in this book. Lots and lots of Nazi punching. And in fact, maybe the biggest, most famous Nazi of all appears as though he's Tupac at Coachella and still somehow manages to get punched in the face with a bowling ball. Oh, a lot of blood, a lot of violence, also a lot of electric lettuce usage, which is super fun. And then at the end of the last issue, you met the femme fatale of the series, right? Like you met she's the Romeo or the Juliet to his Romeo kind of person. Not so much. So just there's a big thing that happens at the end, and you don't know how our main character is going to get out of it, but we're going to find out in the next issue. Just know that the scene where there is a scene where Hitler gets punched in the face with a bowling ball, but it's holograph Hitler, and it's hysterical.
Yes, it is. For lack of time here, it is a great Jango Fett storyline. Great story within the Star Wars universe. You don't need to know anything about anything except for Jango Fett is a cool character.
Well,
those ways sell themselves.
All right, so this is. I hate to keep saying, something meets Punisher, but this has some of that too. This is Midlife or How to Be a Hero at 50, or How to Hero at 50 by Brian Bucoletto. We find out in the first issue that our main character turns 50 and finds out that he is immune to fire. As it turns out, he is a part of a fairy class. of people that are fire fairies, essentially. They have a name in the book that I can't remember, but he essentially isn't immune to fire. He can control it. And turns into a vigilante using fire as his weapon. But because he's also a firefighter and fire investigator, that is a incredibly overpowered gift. And he's using it to kind of clean his city up. And in the last issue, you met the woman in the foreground of the cover there. She is sort of like the woman who makes the costumes in The Incredibles. Meets yes,
Edna.
Meets Nick Fury, and she is very fun, and I want to spin off just about her. So this book is super fun. I would say this. I espouse all the time. Every comic should be able to be someone's first. This one can't be. You really do need to start at number 1 on this and read through. But so far, this has been super interesting and super fun. Even the slow issues have been super fun. And if you have any inkling of being a pyromaniac, you've had these dreams. So just know that going in. But I really am enjoying this book. All right, that's everything. We got through with just about a minute to spare. So as always, it's important for us here at The Experience and on all of our shows, and especially on this one, that you visit your local comic shop. If you don't know where there's a local comic shop nearby to you, head over to comicshoplocator.com and type in the numbers of the area where you are. I can never remember if that's a zip or an area code. It doesn't matter. Type it in there, and it will tell you where there are comic shops nearby to you. Give them a ring. Make sure their hours are correct. Make sure everything is normal. And then go visit them. And while you're there, spend $5 more than you were planning, because $5 from every customer changes the entire life of a comic book store. So please, please, please go visit and check those out. Check out any of these books. And if you see something, comment on this video. Like if you pick up a book that we didn't cover, that you're like, you guys missed out on blah, 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 hit us up. Let us know, and we'll try and get them. We do have new companies coming in all the time that we're going to start reviewing. So it's going to get a little bit more thin on some of these titles. So just know that. And yes, Dick Tracy is an FOC this week. So make sure you order at Dick Tracy because it's great. All right. So is there anything I'm forgetting? No? Cool. We'll see everybody next time.